We must be very serious today. Hello, I'm Scott Harris. I like to adjust my seat. I notice I do that in my videos, so maybe that's like a signature weirdness. I'm sitting here with Shannon Jones, the Director of Operations of the Harris Residential Team, and I am Scott Harris, your fearless leader of the Harris Residential Team here at Brown Harris Stevens. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Scott.
How you doing?
I'm well.
Okay. I like your, Shannon has a new hairdo, which I think looks amazing. I'm always jealous of women and their awesome hair. My hair is just boring and
It's definitely looked like that for the 3 years
the
I've
whole
been
time.
here.
So we're not here to talk about hair, but we are here to talk about new things. Shannon felt that we had not talked enough about new development in New York City and the opportunity that new development presents. We were both at new developments over the last few days. We were looking at pricing on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
We were wondering, is that the pricing that makes sense where the deals are going to trade? But I don't want to take all your questions. So I'm going to sit here and get ready to be peppered with Shannon questions.
Right. So the first reason that I was thinking about it is I was at a really nice development yesterday, and price per square foot, it's a lot higher than most people would be spending. And so when does it ever make sense for a buyer to buy a new development versus buying a resale and making it themselves, like renovating it themselves?
I see.
Like,
So
when is this ever really a great time for them to do this?
Got it. Well, look, the short answer is that buying brand new means that you don't have to do anything. So there are a lot of people who don't have the bandwidth to buy an apartment, fix it up. It just takes up a lot of time. I mean, I've talked about this here and in my other videos that my wife and I are renovating right now, and it becomes like an extra job.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's really doing all sorts of, they're up to amazing things with their work, they don't have the time and bandwidth. So there's a premium that they're willing to pay.
Right.
But I would say right now what is actually interesting is not, I could answer that question head on and say that there are lots of situations where people don't want to renovate themselves. They have the money, and actually money is so cheap that if you finance a purchase and then you have to spend money on top to renovate, you have to come out of pocket for that renovation.
Right.
And then there's the risk that if you wanted to eventually refinance, like after you were done renovating, so you could kind of take your equity out, there's always the risk that rates might go up. I think right now the risk is a little lower, but I've said this before, but I'll say it again here. You can kind of divide the world into two, where some people are private equity mindset, some people are hedge fund mindset, which means the private equity people want to renovate and add value to whatever it is they're doing, and the hedge fund people just want to know that they can sell tomorrow. So if the S hit the fan, they want to be able to get out tomorrow. So that's another way people may want to buy a new development versus renovate.
Great. And I think another thing, what's the difference in closing costs when you're dealing with a new development versus a resale? There's some differences there on what a buyer will traditionally pay.
I think it's kind of right now with new development. I think it's all up for grabs. I think development, and I add to that. Usually new development can cost like an extra maybe percentage point or two, based on some of the closing costs that sellers want to developers want to push on to buyers. But I think to add on to that, it's not what makes new development interesting now is that developers actually are under a lot of pressure to sell. So you may actually be able to pick up a beautifully renovated, beautifully designed apartment that you wouldn't necessarily have done yourself at a discount to what the number is on the sheet. So like we saw something on the east side yesterday, and you can call us, we'll tell you all about it, but it's a 4-bedroom that is asking $7 million, and there's a pretty good chance that it will sell for 6 or even less than. And that's a number that just didn't exist in the marketplace 2 years ago.
Right, and so that leads me to my next question. For those that don't know me, my sister is a realtor in another market, and in Austin, Texas. It's a great market. It's a really good time to be a realtor there. And she and I were talking, and developers there do not negotiate on price. Like the price is the price. They might give some concessions, but the closing price is the asking price. And obviously, since you've already touched on it here, how negotiable is new development?
Well, one of my favorite sayings is something that Mike Tyson said, that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. So what I mean by that is that a developer can be as tough as he or she wants to be until the market doesn't cooperate with their attitude. So, I mean, sure, like Austin's booming, other markets are exploding, and if New York will stabilize and get back to business at some point, and the pricing, I'm convinced. We live here, I love New York. It's a great market, great place to live, and it's an international city. But right now, it's on the back foot. So developers want to sell, they're going to negotiate. But in terms of a percentage, it's hard to know. I mean, there's some developers who got with it and have cut prices and maybe have to negotiate less. And there's some developers who are like, just bring me offers, and they're going to wheel and deal. And sometimes the developers just are overpriced. And in which case they are in for a reckoning.
Right.
There's a lot of inventory that they're going to have to work through. So.
And then my last question is, what kind of trends are you seeing in new development architecturally?
That's a great question. I mean, I would say like a lot of amazing, there's a really cool design happening in Chelsea and Hudson Yards. Some people don't like what's happening in Hudson Yards, some people love it. But I'd say all over the city there are these sort of off like sites that people are developing, kind of tall, skinny buildings. What I struggle with a lot with new development is that people still live the way people live, and that sort of shifts very, very glacially. So you have developers hiring people like Robert Stern who do very traditional layouts. Maybe they've updated so the kitchen's a little more towards the living room. So I think for me, the finishes continue to be kind of mid-century modern inspired, kind of these transitional things that work for traditional elements, that work for more contemporary art. Nobody's knocking me over.
Right.
And some of the development that's happening where the architect is kind of going really called fashion forward, like really forward design. The buildings look really cool, but at the end of the day, I think the interiors of the buildings still kind of read like apartments, and there's not I know like the Guggenheim is celebrating like a big anniversary of that building over there, Frank Lloyd Wright. There are very few Frank Lloyd Wrights out there that are gonna dictate how people actually live, and in this market, I think people still like open kitchens. Some people don't. As the family size gets bigger, I think a lot of people still want to have closed off kitchens. But I don't have a great answer for you. I think it really is so determined by the price point. I think some developers are just going to build like glass towers that don't really inspire, but they'll maybe have nicer ceiling height, things like that. But it's not. There are some beautiful things on Central Park West, and I don't know that those developers are going to make a ton of money, but they will be more attractive buildings.
Right. And
there's some really cool things in Chelsea. Again, I don't know what the financial back part of it is, but I do think that those buildings, if you drive down the West Side Highway, what you see is pretty cool.
Yeah. I think what I'm seeing a lot is a lot of emphasis on communal spaces. I really feel like the living, dining, kitchen open, like they're making places to entertain, and they're making those
communal spaces inside the apartment.
Inside the apartment, yes.
Okay.
And so the bedrooms are kind of smaller than what I think some people would consider to be generous, but not to say that they're not out there, they are. And then I think there's a very, very heavy emphasis on amenities right now. I think every new development that I've seen recently, I mean, they've got the doorman, most of them are having a pool. It just seems to be that things are really, really amenity rich right now.
Yeah, I just to add on to that, Shannon, I would say that there are certain neighborhoods where traditionally, like in a Tribeca area, say, people were used to having like loft spaces that didn't have any amenities, and now buyer taste has sort of moved towards the amenity-rich buildings like you're talking about. I think it does put some downward pressure on resale because buyers just want to have a doorman, they want to have somebody to take their Amazon packages.
Right.
But I think that developers do try to get away with making these great rooms, and I think they kind of cheat on the square footage a bit. And bedrooms, I mean, some European buyers don't really care about the bedroom size.
Right.
And then some buyers we hear will complain. They're like, I don't need, a bathroom the size of my bedroom.
Right.
And like, I'm not, I happen to be someone who likes to take baths, like, after long runs or whatever. It's a way, that it's a meditative for me. But I know a lot of people would never take a bath ever. And so to have these beautiful architectural bathtubs in the middle of their bathroom is totally a waste for them.
Right.
And it's very common. So you can't please everybody all the time, I think.
We try.
And I think on that note, we'll probably wrap up here. But I want to say thank you to Shannon.
Thank you for having me.
Who makes our team, really makes the trains run on time and is awesome. And so if you ever reach out to us, we'd love to you can talk to Shannon, ask her all the questions that you want to know about how we make the sausage over at the Harris residential team. Vegan sausage. That's right. Shannon is a vegan. And please reach out to us, and we're having fun in the month of November. Instead of growing mustaches, we are making videos. Right.
We're still donating at the end of the month.
And we're still going to donate at the end of the month to men's health awareness. So, on that note, we'll talk to you later. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.